I think at that point
myself.
we were actually as close as we'd ever come to separating.
Yes.
There was points in time where I think each one of us were ready to leave.
Yeah.
Eating disorders are a disease that claim a lot of marriages, not just a lot of young kids who succumb to those eating disorders. It's a tragic disease on many fronts for that reason. So I'll ask you, what made you stay?
Welcome to Startup Spouses, where we help entrepreneurial couples take their mediocre relationship and make it mind-blowing. I'm Marie.
And I'm Adam.
This is our first episode, so I want to welcome everybody here, including you, Adam.
Including me?
Yes,
Me too?
exactly.
Awesome. Well, it's good to be here. I'm
Yes,
glad we're here.
it is
It
great
took
to be
us-
here.
Took us a lot to get here.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
So maybe people don't know much about us.
Yeah. So in this episode, we're gonna kind of talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So kind of share some of the story of why we're doing this show, what we're all about, how we got here, all of our origin story.
Do you know why we're here?
Do I know why?
Yeah.
I don't know. Where am I? What happened? What planet am I on?
Well, this all started with a crappy relationship, didn't it?
It did?
It
Was
did.
Crappy?
It-
Was it really crappy?
It wasn't mind-blowing, I'll
It
tell
wasn't
you that.
mind-blowing, that's for
It
sure.
wasn't.
No.
Maybe it was a
5, yeah.
5 out of 10 relationship. And so that being said, how did we get from a 5 to a 10?
Well, maybe we should start by just kind of sharing a little bit about how we met and where we were. And I know in a future episode we'll kind of go in deep and maybe we'll interview each other.
Yeah.
And share a little bit about like personally our individual stories, but maybe at least collectively we can talk about our relationship here.
Yes.
And I think if you're listening to this episode or this show, either you're a really great friend, and thanks friends for listening to this first episode. But also, I mean, this show was really made for couples like us. You know, like Rory Vaden says, you're perfectly positioned to help the person that you once were. And our relationship was not always, great. And we went through challenges like most people. And we were also in businesses where we were leading teams and building businesses. And now we're doing that again. So in reality, this show is to kind of chronicle that journey of us starting something new, but also take the lessons that we've learned in making our relationship as magnificent as it is now and making us as aligned as we are now.
Yeah.
Talking about some of the things that have helped us do that because we've done a lot of work in the last few years, haven't we?
In the last, 10, 15 years, I
20
think.
years, yeah.
20 years
Yeah.
in this being here in this space right now is a completely different space than we started off with.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I mean, I literally joke about this almost all the time that with a couple of therapists and maybe some other people, but I always say that I do not know how we are still together.
Yeah.
We should be divorced by now.
We should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
With all the challenges that like life challenges, they say that there's a lot of things that contribute to becoming divorced, and a lot of it has to do around death and like illness,
Disability. All those things.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. I think, there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, where we go in our challenges, I think in one of my last podcasts that I had, which was Flow Over Fear, I interviewed somebody who had a very strong relationship, who was a speaker on relationships. And she said something that still sticks with me to this day, that during challenges or in your most challenging moments, you either grow together or you grow apart.
Yes.
And for a lot of couples, arguably over 50% of couples, they grow apart. And so more than 50% of couples, of married couples, get divorced. That's the divorce rate is over 50%. I mean, think about that. People who get married, who are in love, want to spend the rest of their life with someone. Half of those people end up divorced. And that's just the people that do something about it. And so imagine when those challenges come in with family, with businesses, where those struggles come. into play, how that impacts it. And fortunately for us, we've grown together. And I think one of the things we say, and by the way, you mentioned therapists. So just to kind of preface this, I want to say that we're not therapists. This is not our goal to fix a broken marriage.
Yes.
It is our goal for those of you who have the strong foundation, who want to make their relationship great. We have the tools, and we feel like we've established that, and we're still working to become great relationship coaches and business coaches to make that relationship magnificent as you're building that business together, as you're building businesses together or working on any kind of projects together. If you want to have fun in your relationship and have that, that's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. You know what else is important about that? Mm-hmm. About building relationships and having fun and then learning from our past mistakes is the fact that even if you are part of the percentage that have had a divorce, the likelihood, if you had not worked through your problems, the likelihood of you marrying somebody else is like your marriage is very, very high because you stick with the familiar. Yeah. So it's great, even if you're not currently in a relationship, to learn these skills and techniques and tools, because once you get into a new relationship, you can either see it as an opportunity to, hey, maybe this is not the right direction I'm going, or this is a great direction. Let's keep up the communication. So you can build those skills, even if you're not in a relationship at the moment too.
Right, I like that. That's such a great point.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm very passionate about this stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I think to that end, I mean, for us, you mentioned we should be divorced by now.
Yeah.
And in reality, I mean, we're not the same married couple that we were when we first met. We kind of joke about it, but it's really true. We're on like our fourth or fifth marriage together.
Yes.
And that's, I think, another important element of the evolution of it, especially if you're a visionary or a business owner or entrepreneur or a couple of entrepreneurs, you're going to have a growth mindset. And that growth mindset is going to send you on a trajectory of wanting to evolve everything that you build. And that includes your relationship. So to think that you're going into a relationship saying that like it's some kind of rom-com from the 1990s where everything lives happily ever after you get the girl or the boy or whatever, that's just not true. That's the beginning. It's kind of like we just got our black belts recently.
Yes.
Right? And our sensei just told us like, okay, all that work to get the black belts, now the work begins.
Yes.
That's when it begins. The relationship really begins when you become spousal partners, when you build the families, building businesses, sharing finances, all of that.
Can I ask you a question? How does that hit you when he says that your work is just beginning? Is there like two different opposing, like, oh crap or shit of like, oh, what was I doing before? I've wasted all this time. Yeah. Or is it something other than that?
That's a great question. I like that. Because as you were talking about that, I haven't really ever thought of that. And I think because I've been through a lot of things that I've wanted to quote unquote achieve. Once you cross the finish line, say of an Ironman or whatever, get your black belt, whatever that is, there's kind of this moment of yeah, and then 15 seconds later, it's like, okay, where's the pizza? For people that are growth minded, I think that, for me at least, I get excited when I hear that. To say the work is just beginning. Oh, now it's going to get fun. Now there's this next evolution we get to build on, because that's what builders do. And I think that's important to treat a relationship like that. Like, oh, we're having kids. Oh, now the work has just begun. Exciting. Or, oh, we're starting a new career. Oh, the work is going to get exciting. The kids leave the house. You're empty nesters now. Oh, great. We get to start a new phase. And I think that where things fall apart is when that mindset shift is into something like, oh no, what do we do now? Because things are going to change. If you're not growth oriented, relationships are going to be challenging in that front.
Yes.
What do you think?
With the regards to it was almost an oh shit moment too. Like, yes, I've already noticed how hard it is getting.
Yeah.
And I'm like overwhelmed, but I also can hear other people in the room with that same doubt inside them. Like I can feel that they're saying that too. So it adds to that type of energy.
Yeah.
And it's like almost have to snap myself out of it because I can't be a part of that and just be like, you've done hard things before.
Right.
I've have a track record and I can look back. Only way I look back in the past is to remind myself of how hard I've worked and I've done hard things so I can do hard things in the future. So that's a big part of it. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, oh, I'm so tired right now. Right now I'm tired. I must need a break. I don't need to quit, but I need a break.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling that sort of like this is hard, like I just need a break or some inspiration. In drawing upon people who are masters
Right.
is a great way to look at them and see how excited they are about this whole thing. Like people are generally doing this for decades long and they still enjoy it and they still have that learner's mindset. And having that learner's mindset is the most important thing that you can, that is important for growth.
Yeah.
And so if it's not there, maybe you're in the wrong space.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I like the way you frame that. And I think from the standpoint of relationships, it's almost like we're in our own dojo. We're growing and we've chosen a partner in which to grow with. And when you add the element of a business into that or entrepreneurialism or leadership in general, that's going to add additional complexity into it, but also a bit of additional excitement because you get to grow there's this additional dynamic of partnership that exists between you and your spouse or your loved one or the person that you love. So maybe we should kind of go back to the beginning here and talk about how we got to where we were and how it wasn't always, rainbows and unicorns, and it still isn't, to be honest. But I think together our relationship is still strong.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did we meet, Ray?
Oh, it was all me.
Remind me. It was all you.
Well, technically,
I was an oblivious young.
Well, technically, me and my roommates were off to go to a movie, and she stopped by to say hi. My roommate knew you.
This was in college. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta specify.
No, that's all right.
Sometimes the ADHD wants to just start in a story. Like, can't you see the set?
But that's what we do here. We've been together so long. We just finish each other's
sentences.
Oh, I was gonna say sandwiches, but okay.
Anyways, so she introduced us to you, and that's when I was like, oh my gosh, he's really cute. I want to know who he is too. So then we had I know this is going to date me, but we had like back in the day in college.
All right, I already dated you.
Back in the day in college, we used to have parties revolving around South Park. And I don't know if they still do that. That'd be cool if they still do that in college. But so
Which, by the way, it's pretty amazing that South Park has lasted as long as our relationship. But I think it's a little longer, to be honest.
It did because I remember right before I went to school.
Yep.
And so we had a party revolving around South Park and, of course, alcohol. And you came over and we started talking. And because you were wearing this leather jacket and like this I don't know what shirt, but you had chest hair. So I was 21 at the time. And I swear, I was like, oh, I finally found a mature man. Like,
you see, ladies and gentlemen, it's because I'm cool. I was wearing a leather jacket, probably an awesome t-shirt, and hair just flying out of my chest right there. And here comes Marie.
So I was like, oh, he must be around my age. So, and then I come to find out you're 2 years younger than I am.
Older woman.
Yes. And I got royally teased by my sister and my friends too. But
yeah.
And then we had this crazy idea of who came up with this idea? If you tell me, like
the
camping, yeah. Who thought of was that?
I don't know. It was probably the guys, we were there was three of us, so we were all roommates living together, and that's what roommates do. And
They live together?
and so we lived about a block away from these fine young ladies.
Yes.
And so we I think somebody came up with the idea to go camping the following weekend, and it was going to be the three of us guys and three of these girls. What could possibly go wrong? Only, there was this interesting logistical challenge that the women kind of put themselves in, that benefited the men who joined along here. And that was the fact that only the guys had the good sense when they were going camping to think about bringing tents.
I don't know why you had tents going to
Going
school.
camping
I know, but we were at school.
near campgrounds. We were teenagers. We loved going
What
camping.
time of year was it?
This was February, but in California.
February.
In California.
Why? I must have really liked you and be like,
But
yeah,
you
let's go
went.
camping.
You agreed to it.
Yes. Maybe I asked if, okay, does somebody have tents? Okay,
Yeah.
they do. Okay, this is gonna be cool. Fine. Well, we'll just do it this way.
So naturally, all the guys had tents.
Mm-hmm.
The women didn't. And, the men being as chivalrous as we were, we weren't
Mm-hmm.
going to let you sleep out in the cold, were we? No. We ended up splitting tents that time around. And
Yeah.
who would end up in my tent except
Of course, I am
here.
going
Yeah.
to be here
So
in your tent.
yeah, and it was intense. Okay, I could not make that joke,
No.
right? I mean, it was a bit campy,
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, so that began our relationship.
Yes.
That was the beginning of our.
I think we
relationship.
were inseparable at that time.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. We were, we spent a lot of time together after that. There was one instance shortly thereafter where you called me to ask me on a walk. And by the way, it's important to know that you called me. I mean, you considered me oblivious to your. I mean, for a long time, I was very insecure, and we'll talk about this in future episodes, I'm sure. But like, especially around the opposite sex, I just did not know how to talk to women, and I didn't know how to, and I had a lot of fear around that, and a lot of anxiety around being social in those aspects, and so the idea of somebody like you, a beautiful woman, being attracted to me, it just didn't cross my mind. So you said that I was oblivious and just acted like I didn't care. And the reason was because like, yeah, of course I found you attractive, but I thought that you were so far out of my league that it was not. And my insecurity combined with that led me to believe that as just not a chance. Like, and so I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
And so I get teased a lot for that. But yeah, beyond that, I think that to that point, a couple of weeks after we started dating, I think you called and said, "Hey, you want to go for a walk?" And my mind read that as, "Oh, here it comes. She's gonna break up with me. This is it. Like she's had her fun. Now she's gonna move on to like the hotter guy or whatever. And that's just the way it works." But that didn't happen. We actually just went for a walk. And like I spent the whole we got back home from the walk, and I'm like, that's when I finally, oh, that was just a walk. Like
I don't even remember that. What,
I don't
like,
know. You just called and said, "Hey, you want to go for a walk?" I'm like, "Sure."
did I say, did I say something to
Yeah.
you? Like, I really like you, or like, I wanted to express you know what? I think that started, now that I look back, I was like, okay, what was that point where we are together? And I think it's the fact that, we decided to have open and honest conversations from the very beginning
Yeah.
is why we're still together. It's like we always communicate with each other.
I think we did. Yeah, we always have. And I think that's the important, like if you're going to take anything away from the show, I'm not telling you to turn it off now and never listen to it again, but I mean the obvious
don't.
answer to anything like starts with honest and open communication. Like just if you build that safe space to be honest and open with each other about everything, like from what you desire to what's bothering you to what what you want for dinner, all that kind of stuff, what like to the deepest level, if you can build that into your relationship, then that's great. And on the reverse end, we talk a lot about this in EOS. An entrepreneurial operating system is a system I teach on in my business coaching. And one of the things we teach on is open and honest, and this is true in relationships as well. Openness from the standpoint of what you're willing to take in. Like if you open yourself up to any kind of feedback and don't take it personally and take it in terms of that, or you get curious about it, that's openness. That's your ability to be open. So rate yourself on that from a 1 to 10 and decide how willing are you to be open, or how defensive do you get, or what have you. Mm-hmm. Honesty is what you give. How much do you feel safe to be honest? And within that dynamic, if you can build 10 out of 10 on both of those dynamics of openness and honesty together, well, then you build the psychological safety to have the important conversations. I think that's like number one. That should be established in any relationship.
Yes.
Right? Because closing that off is no good. But
Yeah.
I digress. I kind of went off on a tangent.
So we lived happily ever after
We did.
after we graduated college.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had our dream jobs and
Yeah, we got our dream job. I mean, just because we were open and honest, everything went right for us. Nothing went wrong. We never had hiccups. We always stayed together. Our relationship was always a 10 out of 10. Nothing went wrong.
yeah. No.
No?
No. No.
What are you saying?
Wait, because your drinking started getting way out of hand too.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we did eventually move out of Santa Barbara, boo.
Yeah.
But we ended up living in South Orange County.
Yeah.
And then we started what we thought was our careers, or what we should be doing. We started our should be careers. But the good thing about what came with that is that you proposed to me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I think you kind of glossed over something kind of big in our lives there, though.
Oops, I forgot. What?
Well, no, you mentioned the drinking part of
Yeah.
it, which was a big part of our lives. I mean, it's a big part of how we met. So kind of touching on that, I mean, I've been very open about my recovery from alcoholism. By the time this episode drops, I'll be within a couple of weeks of being 14 years sober at this point. Best thing that I've ever done in my life is sobriety. If you're struggling with alcoholism, please get help. It's readily available out there, and it's the best decision you can ever make. There is no good that comes from alcohol. Fight me on it. Anyway, but my drinking became problematic, just kind of sharing the nuts and bolts of it, really before we met. It wasn't, I wasn't belligerent drunk when we met, but I did recognize alcohol as something that could help me to become more social. And there was a lot of positive reinforcement that came from it.
Yeah.
A lot of, I mentioned throughout high school and even early in college, my ability to be social with people, especially people of the opposite sex and women, which are the opposite sex for me, was very difficult. I struggled with that. Mm-hmm. But the first time that I picked up a drink, I realized that I could talk to girls, and they were receptive of my advances, at least at first. And that became a positive reinforcement for me. And so for me with alcohol, it was definitely the typical story of, first it started as fun, then it was fun with problems, then it was just problems. And by the time I think we graduated from college, and there's a lot of story in there that if you want to get into detail about this, I've written a book about it. I've written a book about my alcoholism and recovery and everything that happened since. You can read that. It's called Shifting Gears from Anxiety and Addiction to a Triathlon World Championship. But but in that journey was all about like overcoming the panic attacks and the anxiety that I had that it overwhelmed me. But in the midst of that, we were also building a life together. So it was really definitely as much as you can call quote unquote functional alcoholism as it could possibly be, even though I don't really think that there's such a thing as functional in that realm.
Yeah. What was interesting about you getting into the depths of your alcoholism, my mom was also an alcoholic at the same time,
Right.
too. So not only what I was, I wouldn't say dealing with two alcoholics,
Yeah.
because there is elements of me in my isms as well, trying to control it, trying to be, you know,
It's like codependency.
yeah, a
Yeah.
codependency in the aspect, and it drove me and my dad quite nuts because it was very difficult time for I would say both of us too,
Yeah.
even my siblings too, of like, oh, mom's in the ER again. Okay, well, just let me know when she gets home. It was like almost a disconnect
Hmm.
from that, and then a disconnect from you too,
Yeah.
to actually save myself from the reality of alcohol and how it affects the whole entire family,
Right.
and the damage that not only does to the alcoholic but the family members too.
So why did you
So
stay with me out of curiosity at that point? Because because I spent more than a decade in that alcoholism, you know?
Bec- the short answer is I love you,
Hmm.
because I loved you so much, and I knew the potential that you had in you. The loving, caring part of you was still in there,
Hmm.
and part of it was, the anxious attachment. Part of it was it wasn't just one thing that
Yeah.
did, because we did have that sexual attraction too,
Sure.
as well. There's many factors. Ignorance, ignoring the problem that was there,
Sure. So
So
not all of the it. So it wasn't all. I mean, a you know, like a like a knowing, like a faith, or some of it was unhealthy on both sides, right? Like I mean, like
yeah,
the idea of enablement and all that kind of stuff goes in there. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like people might say, "Oh, well, it's all the alcoholic's fault," and
Sure.
everybody else is a victim, but we actively participated in keeping you in your disease too.
Yeah. And that's definitely not to say that like I'm not 100% responsible for my actions and my alcoholism. It's not. It's just I think what we're trying to convey here is it's a difficult time loving someone who's an addict, and we've certainly been through it, not just within us, but we've had, like Marie says, her mother. We've had our daughter, who we'll touch on, who has a significant eating disorder.
Yeah.
That we've had to battle, that has struggled with that. But I think that whether you're in it, it's not that we're trying to convey here that, oh, you should stay with the alcoholic or you should leave the alcoholic. There's no decision there. There's a lot of nuance there to get into, and a lot of depth to that. A lot of very individual. Obviously, you do not want to stay in an abusive, bad environment,
Yeah,
right?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, um, I didn't know any better as well too.
Yeah.
So, I don't think when I was growing up that I got the love and attention. And it's, I believe that my parents did the best that they could with what they had.
Hmm.
But for a child of, with three other siblings in an environment where both parents were working, I didn't feel like that. And I felt that so much with you,
Yeah.
that we both wanted to have that love so badly that we were willing to hold on to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that was definitely true for me. And it was, I think, when I got sober finally, when it was kind of this willingness, and it sounds strange if you haven't gone through recovery or anything like that to say this, but it took me a lot of why. I mean, there's a lot of truth to the idea that a lot of alcoholics might think that I don't have time for recovery because I got to put my family first and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, they're staying in their addiction. They're not putting their family first. There's just a lot of head trash going on there. But it was when I finally, got sober and realized, oh, geez, I got to I have to put sobriety first in my life before the rest of my family. By then we had two very young kids, and and before everything else, before job and everything, sobriety has to come first. That was the only way that I got sober. And interestingly enough, over the next The next 14 years, life got better. The connections got better. My ability to do those other things got better because I was sober and because I put sobriety first.
Yes.
And that was, and so that, I think that period of alcoholism and all of that up until that point was maybe our first marriage, right? And then we got like careers and all of that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
So yeah, how did that go?
Career wise?
Sure. Yeah. Or anything you want to touch
I
on
don't,
there. I
yeah,
just don't know.
I felt like I really wanted to be a marriage and family therapist when I went into school. As I was leaving for my bachelor's, that was a different subject matter because I was tired.
Yeah.
Had undiagnosed ADHD. So I did not know how to move forward from there. So I took the least resistance path and became a restaurant management. So I went into restaurant management.
Which isn't stressful at all.
No, it's not one bit. Oh my gosh, I still have nightmares about working in restaurants.
Yeah.
No offense to anybody who works in restaurants, but it is a high stress environment, and I was completely lost. That's what I thought I wanted. I thought I wanted, here I've got a career. This is what I should be doing. And I was miserable.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that was still working. And then you still an alcoholic and my mom still an alcoholic to a point where I started having panic attacks.
Yeah.
And my panic attacks, lucky me, started when I was driving. So, like, I'd get news of my mom. That's the thing. It's like everybody call. I should not pick up the phone while I'm in the car, but
Right.
and have people tell me bad things because like I'd get calls and it would mainly be in the car. Oh, mom's in the hospital again, or on my 30th birthday, on a way to get a massage while like. How pregnant was I? I was like 7 months pregnant with our first child, and I get a call that my dad had a heart attack
Yeah.
too on the way, and luckily it was a mild heart attack, and but I kept getting calls
Right.
and getting bad news while I was driving, so I think my brain just switched over and started associating that trauma with driving
Yeah. Yeah.
because I did not process those things because I was focusing on driving. Wow, I'm just starting to figure this out right now. This is crazy.
Sure,
like
yeah.
this
Amazing
is like
Another prop to communication and openness is like you kind of figure things out as
you're
open to
talking
those things. Yeah.
It's been a while too.
Right.
And because they continued for many years. I still have occasional panic attacks, but I'm gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, well, here, like, okay, well, it's okay. I'm done. Like I didn't get it. I don't get like, I just get frustrated.
Sure.
And then they're like, okay, it's just going to pass through. I'm going to breathe through it and it'll be fine. And it's no way. It feels like you're dying most of the time. And it's really scary too. But I've had people call me and tell me because I could walk them through it and help them. Like I've helped a couple of friends do that. Just walk when they've had panic attacks. So, that in itself was like, we were doing life together and doing, and also trying to do what we feel that we should be doing.
Right. What we felt other people would want us to be doing.
Yeah.
Like I went to work for the family business while you went to, it was just like this idea that, okay, we're done with college. We need to go get our careers now, which is traditionally what we're told to believe. And we don't really think of anything else. But I think on the side of that, we also had like these big dreams. We both have visionary energy. And so we had these dreams of like, there's so much more that we want, but we felt like we had to settle into career mode.
Yeah.
And that, but that would one day lead to that. And what I think ended up happening was we just ended up kind of getting trapped in that rat race of like, well, one day. Meanwhile, we're just not happy now. We're just not like, we're not doing what we want. We're not feeling fulfilled. And I think, I don't want to speak for you, but it was a very feeling of being trapped, didn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, yeah, and here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you feel that after you got to school, like, oh yeah, we've had our fun, that now it's time to get serious and not and grow up and not have fun anymore? Like, I don't remember doing much of
Like,
like fun things except for maybe
no, we
going.
didn't. We didn't
We
do a whole
went
lot.
we went to Hawaii and we sat on the beach,
Yeah.
and because we're exhausted
Yeah. Because
from doing what stuff that people told us that we needed to do,
right, right. Well, and we
or
never
we
really
thought we should.
traveled in college. I mean, we didn't really.
We were so poor.
We didn't have like the money to go travel or anything like that, and so that was another thing. It was like, well, one day, and of course we kept getting fed like that whole narrative, from bosses and things like that of like, well, if you work hard enough, one day, when you're way down the line, you'll get to do these things, and it was all a lot of like, well, we didn't get to do it till that, and it's just like, it's like, okay, but we just don't feel fulfilled now, and that's not to say that you shouldn't work for your dreams, but also don't put them on hold doing something that you don't want to do. Believe in what you want, and this is, I think, where the power of that entrepreneurial spirit should come in, especially when we're younger. I think if we had to do it over again, we would have thought a lot differently.
Yeah.
Because I went into the family business, feeling there was a sense of obligation. Like, yeah, they want me to go in there. I keep getting this narrative of like I have to lead this, one day or whatever, and so I kind of followed that path, but it was also like a desire on my end to like, yeah, I want to get to that point. I want to build up to that. Meanwhile, it was just kind of like the way that the business is structured. I wasn't really finding my place in there, and it didn't feel like there was an opportunity to really find where my place was. And I think after being in that area for 20 years and even running the company for 8 of those years, I found like, well, yeah, I guess it wasn't the right fit because the culture wasn't willing to, like, it wasn't aligned around the values that I have. And I think that's true, for the careers that you kind of got into too and worked through, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When, let's say, when you got sober and raising kids, and how do you feel that our relationship was at that time?
It's good. Yeah, that's a good question. I think, well, from my perspective, and I was on for the years after 2012, when I started getting sober and started getting healthy, those were, some of the best years of my life. Our kids were, relatively healthy. I know we had some challenges there, but generally speaking, the kids were healthy. You and I were healthy. We're pursuing Ironman triathlon. I was actually achieving things in my life. So I felt that our relationship was a little stronger, but it wasn't where it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing where we are now, I mean, it's like our relationship's really great. We've evolved a lot. But there, I mean, like, I think that we were strong, but and I think we were tight as a family at that point, between those years, like between the years of like 2012 and 2017.
Yeah. But I think with our relationship, it was more we were pursuing things for ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and that we needed that. It was almost like a break from our relationship, to
Right.
be honest with you. It was kind of like we pretty much grew up together
Yeah.
going to school, and then you got sober, and it's kind of that it was a separateness to our relationship. I felt.
Yeah, but not a bad one.
No,
So,
it wasn't. It wasn't. It was pursuing ourselves, and we
right.
both gave each other permission to be, to pursue what we wanted. I mean,
Yeah.
because like you would be doing triathlons for so many hours a day and be gone too.
Right.
I mean, we didn't really take the time to have date nights or stuff like that because, let's just say, babysitting is very expensive too.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we did the best with what we had. So, but having that separation kind of allowed ourselves to heal and be a whole person ourselves.
Yes.
So that's my interpretation of that time, though. It wasn't bad. We weren't fighting. We weren't we when we were mostly together as a family. I remember, that's what I experienced.
Yeah. I think that's
But it wasn't us.
right. That's really insightful. I think that that's I would agree, and I think that how do you feel about do you feel like that's a necessary part of a strong relationship to give that level of freedom to explore individuality?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a big growth period for me because prior to that, I was really depressed. I
Yeah.
was really like depressed, having panic attacks. And even though I was starting to do something for myself, I was starting to still have those panic attacks. So
Yeah.
it made it really confusing.
Well,
But
and I was so conflict avoidant that I was having panic attacks because of your panic attacks, and like, but I mean seriously, because it was like there was conflict, and I was like, ah, no conflict, and that was like obviously kind of contributed to not being healthy in the mental space for me, and continuing to drink. It was just like this, instead of leaning into that conflict, that it was, and I think that's one thing that we learned later on, especially in the last few years, in that I know that I've personally grown on the level of how to navigate conflict in a healthy way. And together we've navigated conflict to know, hey, conflict's not bad in a relationship. It's normal. It's natural. And if you can become great at navigating that conflict in a healthy way, then your relationship will only grow from there, because it's only through that challenge of conflict that you're going to grow together.
yeah.
That's like the times in the gym. It's not to say like get in arguments and fights all the time, but no, learn to navigate the natural conflict that's going to happen, and you'll be stronger.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. I would say that our conflict, as a kids we're small, we're a little minimal,
yeah,
but then when they started getting older,
yeah,
and I felt that it was a bit harder for us to, for me, I'm going to say me, to communicate in a healthy way with conflict,
yeah.
because what I knew conflict was, let's fight and get it all out and scream at each other, and then we'll be okay. But apparently you don't like it that way.
Right. No, I don't like to fight and scream, and I think part of the reason is I feel so out of control when I get angry,
Yeah.
and like and so I don't want to feel out of control.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, during, like, when I'm conversing with other people, I try to get more curious now, with that. But you're right. I mean, I think that as the kids got older, I think there were a lot of big changes that happened in our lives, and we've had a lot of changes and challenges in our lives, and working in different businesses. There was a period where I had to leave Hill Brothers because of a transition that kind of went awry, and then they called me back in a year later to run the company as the CEO in 2018, and the challenge of trying to turn that company around when it was really struggling from a cultural and financial perspective, and just battling that. And then, a couple of years into that, our daughter gets a very severe, like, within a month, I'm going in December of 2019, I'm going on daddy-daughter dates with our daughter.
Yeah.
January of 2020, she's screaming at a pizza because she's got such a severe eating disorder.
Yeah.
And that would start, like, kind of the next phase of our lives, which would be becoming caretakers for a very, very, very difficult and underrepresented epidemic that happens in this world, which is severe eating disorders.
Yeah.
We talk ad nauseum about the epidemic of obesity, and how we need to end that, almost to a fault, because as many, if not more, And I got to check the statistics on that because I might be responding with emotion right there.
Exactly.
But
You've been in this world for a long
I
time.
see a lot of it. I mean, there's let's just at least say it this way. There's enough people in the world battling severe eating disorders that it deserves as much attention as obesity would or any other chronic disease, because eating disorders are, and this I'm just going to get on my high horse, are the most deadly mental disorder.
Yep.
They claim the most lives, and they're silently, nobody knows what they're doing with it. And so, including us at the beginning, we didn't know how to handle it, and we were trying to navigate through it. And I think that really challenged our relationship
Yeah.
at that time.
It was like our relationship was like, yeah, we'll just put it on the back burner. And then and I say this a lot, is divide and conquer.
Yep.
And so I took on the responsibility of mainly handling her and her medical and her mental health, and having you focus on work. And
Because it's a full-time job for
yeah,
you.
it was a full-time job
Yeah.
because it's a lot. And it wasn't, it sounds so, I don't know what the word is. It's just like, oh, she had an eating disorder. Well, that's like an easy, just have her eat
Right. It's
and
yeah.
everything. Things will be, there's a simple solution, but it's very difficult because it is a brain disease.
Yeah.
And not only that, but having the pandemic on top of it was very difficult for us. And feeling very isolated from other people because we were so in need of help at that time that I felt that it was very difficult to find help.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was doing. You didn't know what we were doing. But man, I learned to fight for my child
Yeah, you
very,
did.
very quickly. And it was easier because we couldn't, even in the hospital, we had to trade off too, because one of us had to watch our son, and then the other one was at the hospital watching the daughter, and we couldn't be there both at once because of COVID.
Right.
So that was very challenging in itself, and so we didn't see each other as
Right.
much.
We didn't,
and as well.
yeah.
And when we saw each other, we were just a mess.
Yeah. And in the work environment, trying to run a company with 150 employees that was on the verge of failure
Yeah.
because there was such of a lack of willingness to change and difficulty there. It wasn't like we were getting the reprieve to like really take care of our family. And I think that was something that really built up a resentment in me a little bit, was because in a family business like this, and in the family business, there was so much, I saw around me so much willingness to give other people working in the business time to go handle personal stuff, to handle sick family members or things. We didn't get that privilege.
Yeah.
I was the CEO of the company. Nobody cared that was going on. And so I think for both of us, you and I, it was very lonely. And it was even lonelier because we weren't connecting with each other.
Yeah. And when we were connecting, it wasn't connection. It was like report on what's going on. Having feelings about the whole situation is really difficult because it's not just an easy fix.
No. Yeah.
So it was a lot of figuring things out, trying to focus. The main focus was on her, and then my thoughts of having to deal with our son too.
Yeah.
And making sure that he gets attention and he gets love, and he's doing his work,
Right,
because
right.
it's still trying to, being in the pandemic, and then they were homeschooled too. So it was a challenging event on a challenging event with no opportunity to have support with us.
Yeah.
So it was almost a blur, and almost we had to set our feelings aside so much that right up until you know, I think that we did have a lot of arguments. We didn't know how
Yeah.
to process. I did not know how to regulate very
Right.
well
Well, I think at that point
myself.
we were actually as close as we'd ever come to separating.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there was points in time where I think each one of us were ready to leave.
Yeah.
And eating disorders are a disease that claim a lot of marriages, not just a lot of young kids who succumb to those eating disorders. So there's a lot of marriages that it's a tragic disease on many fronts for that reason. So I'll ask you kind of the same question there as I did when with the out. What made you stay?
Again, it was a lot of love for you.
Yeah,
You also had those qualities that made me laugh.
yeah,
You wanted you wanted to stay too, also, and we wanted to work together. So, what made me realize that this was an important relationship is because I was like, I was saying to myself, because of the mortality rate of this disease, I looked at you and I said, she can die from this.
right,
She can. There's, I mean, we have no control over that. And I knew that. And I knew if I didn't say something to you, I would lose you too, because we would be such a wreck blaming ourselves or blaming each other for her if she had passed away,
yeah,
and it would destroy us. And I looked at you and I said, I don't want this to ruin us.
right, yeah. I agree.
So I think we did a lot of grieving, a lot of grieving. I mean, it's strange and not strange to have that acceptance of working so hard for, people who have a disease like this, and also even with kids with cancer too,
Right,
or any other sort of illness, that having this, that it, we still have to go move on.
Right.
We still have to move forward, and then we have to find something in between that and stay connected,
yeah,
or else it's all going to fall apart.
right. That's really, I mean, now I know we've kind of touched on a lot of like really challenging things here, like within our marriage and our relationship, that would have caused a lot of people to separate.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think this is kind of that point in the movie where things started to turn around when we had that realization. Because yeah, it's a grieving process. It was a grieving process. We realized we didn't have as much control over this as we'd hoped, and then we had a decision to make with our own relationship.
Yes.
And
What did you come up with that you thought would save the day?
that I thought would save the day.
Yes.
Well, I don't know
What
if I
what
thought would
was
save
it?
the day, but I mean, at that time at Hill Brothers, or at my family business, we had been. I started implementing EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, in our business, and any company that you're trying to turn around or make function professionally, you should have an operating system. We chose EOS, and it worked really well for us. It helped us to turn the business around, scale us up, helped us to align a little bit better, and really just kind of save the day in our business in terms of helped us to be operationally proficient. It helped us to grow our revenues by about $40 million in 2 years, something we'd never done in our 100-year history. Helped us to become sustainably profitable again, to the point that we brought in record profitability a couple of years after implementing EOS. And I'm not trying to promote EOS here. I'm just trying to set the table for what really worked for us, that we operationalized our business. And my thought is that, well, business is all about relationships. And we all talk about, in a relationship, we talk about the idea in a marriage. I think a lot of people cringe at the idea of like making your marriage like a business, or operating it like that. But I think what we're really thinking there is we don't want to run our marriage like a bad business, which is most businesses. Let's face it. Most, like 90% of businesses operate terribly. They don't operate like effectively. They're having terrible meetings. They're not really connecting that well. They don't necessarily like each other. I mean, we talk about the statistics of only 30% of employees really being engaged in their company. So let's face it, not a lot of companies are operating in a great fashion. But the right kind of operating system fixes that. But I think if we were to look at the really great companies, say the top 5% of companies out there that are operating really great, what Jim Collins would call great. I think people like each other. People love the business. People love it. They think of it like, dare I say it, a family. And I don't even like talking about a business like that because it's really not. But when we think about really effective relationships and really effective businesses, what do we root that in? We root both of those things in the idea that they communicate really well, that they're able to be open and honest with one another, that they're growth oriented. So why not implement some of those practical tools in a relationship as well? So what we did was we just simply started having a weekly meeting, a really simple meeting where we came together. We had some good news. We shared some good news, like to start. Then we shared some headlines in terms of what was working. And I just asked a simple question of like, hey, what did I do for you in the last week that really worked? And what can I do better next week? That's really it. And then we started digging into issues. I think over time, what that did was it formed a connection point for us. It formed a scheduled connection point. Because if you don't schedule it, it's going to happen randomly and it's going to happen in a disorganized fashion. So if it's happening around the dishwasher or at the dinner table, it's not going to be connection. It's going to be going to be hit or miss. But if you schedule it, you've got intentionality behind it. And the intentionality actually creates the space for that connection to occur. And so we found that just by doing that, we created a connection point for us that sparked other connection points all throughout the week. And it also sparked new connections around intimacy that we hadn't talked about. We'd been married for what, 15 to 20 years, and we hadn't even talked about what we liked about sex. Mm-hmm. We didn't talk about our desires or our wants or our fantasies or anything like that. But then that came a point of discussion, and we realized, oh, that's something you like. That's something. Why don't you know? And we started to evolve in our intimacy as well. We started to learn more about each other. For the first time, and being married in all these times, we weren't just dividing and conquering. We were coming together and really realizing what each other liked and enjoying it. We got the new relationship energy back.
Yeah.
Just
So
by
you
a simple act. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah. What?
So you proposed a meeting to me, is
I
what
did.
you did. A very, very sexy meeting
Is that
to
what
me.
you wanted me to say? It was just like, yeah, hey.
Yeah, you
I
just
just
was
wanted
like
to, yeah.
you just went into a long rant on how EOS saved our marriage.
When I get passionate about things, I'll
But
go on.
no, I know you do, and also the fact that I was like, okay, like a meeting. All right, I'll do this, and I was like, okay, begrudgingly be like,
Yeah.
I will do your meeting and let's just see how it goes. And the one thing that really hooked me on it though was the fact that you had set goals to meet my needs, and you were asking me questions of how you could meet my needs, and you were setting up dates, and we were going out and we were having fun.
Yeah. So you're saying there's action behind the intention?
Yes.
Wow.
It wasn't exactly the meeting that just started to be like, oh, when you started deciding to wanting to make it work.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh crap, I better like step up now too, because you were stepping up and saying, this is important to me. I talk to my go bros like once a week and tell them these are my goals and hold me accountable to them.
So
And
Go Bros, by the way, that's Go Abundance.
Yeah.
A national mastermind. But that's all right. Go ahead. Yeah.
again, having a conversation in my head. So it wasn't just the meetings that that it was the intention and the action behind
Yes.
it that made me go, I want to step up too.
Yeah.
And I mean, because of the fact that I've done this in the past where, you know, you start setting goals for yourself and then you start achieving things. I didn't want to be left behind. So I'm like, well, I better get up and start doing things. And the fact that I was concentrating on something else other than eating disorders.
Yes.
And it was like a dream come true. Like,
Right.
even though you kept asking me what I wanted and I didn't have an answer at first because we had been so entrenched in the foxhole, whatever we were doing, trying to fight this and keep our daughter alive.
Yeah.
I slowly started crawling out and realizing it was safe
Yeah.
to start having goals and dreams. And I started off really, really slowly of what goals I was going to set up for me. And you didn't blink an eye. You're not like, oh, well, you should be setting higher goals than that.
Right.
You
Right.
you sat there and you're like, yeah, that's great. And you cheerleaded me on.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, it was like us starting this was a track that we set intention, meaning it's not just important to have them every week, but you start going into the mind frame of, oh, we're going to have a meeting this soon and we're keeping each other accountable as well for these things. And so I'm going to be here trying to do this, like I need to step up and do this. And we were having healthy discussions of disagreement and conflict behind it too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that was a really important part of it because it was feeling like a safe place for us to have these conflicts. I know, like, and we didn't go to a marriage and family therapist. I mean, a couple therapist.
Right. But individually, we were going to therapists.
Yeah, we
for
were going.
years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We didn't do that route.
Right.
And so, and my suggestion, if you do go that route, do not go see your other spouse's
No.
therapist. Find a separate therapist for that, for you two, because it's on like level ground for each other. So, but that being said, we did find this place in EOS to bring our issues to the table and have a discussion about them in a healthy way. Did it start off with that? Maybe not, but
Yeah. I mean, it took iterations, but it's like anything. When you start something, it's going to feel awkward at first. And I think we could touch on this in a future episode, but the idea of the Dunning-Kruger effect where when you start something and you have this overconfidence in your ability to do something, it's like, yeah, we're just gonna have a meeting and everything's gonna go great. Then you realize how difficult it is to like do that. You fall into this confidence gap, and then you kind of grow out of it over time. But you have to go through that period where you're in that confidence gap and work your way through it. But I think the ultimate thing is just, start off slow. I mean, I talk to so many different people that say, yeah, I wish I could communicate with my spouse better, but and we just don't want to have a meeting. It sounds so cold. And I'm like, well, those are two things that shouldn't exist in the same world. Like, you don't want to meet with your spouse intentionally, and you don't feel like you're connected. I mean, you need to start meeting with your spouse. I'm sorry. I know people don't want to feel like their relationship is cold, but you've gotten into a partnership. You signed a contract. You literally signed a contract. It doesn't get any more professional or cold than that. You sign a joint tax return. You do all of these other things. Have a weekly meeting where you just connect for 20 minutes and just be intentional about it. Don't talk about data or scorecards, anything like that, but just tell the stories, to connect, make the intention. Because Marie said it perfectly. It's not just about the communication, which is that first step. That's super important. It's about the action that happens behind it. Because you can talk it till you're dead in the face of like how you're going to improve, how you're going to change. But if the action doesn't happen behind the intention, well, then it's just words. In EOS talk, we call about that vision without traction is hallucination. So if you're not executing on the intention behind it, then there's no integrity behind it. You need to do the work. It takes doing the meeting and then following up on the actions.
Exactly.
And I'll say this, in addition to that, and I'm sorry I'm going on a rant here, but I'm on a soapbox. But
He's getting passionate about this stuff.
but I think this is important to hear because a lot of times, I mean, the reason I didn't want to even push forward with meetings in the first place is because I just didn't feel like it. Because my feelings were also not, I felt alone, I felt lonely, and all this kind of stuff. Let me say something that's really important realization that I found through this. Feeling follows action. The feeling follows the action. So if your intention is that I don't feel like having a meeting, I don't feel like we're connected enough to have a meeting, I'll tell you, connect first in the meeting. You will feel connection. You'll feel it because the feeling follows the action. If you don't feel like you're getting enough touch from your spouse or enough whatever, then you go up and intentionally embrace or hug or do something, then you will feel it. That feeling follows the action.
Can I just say one thing about meetings?
Yeah.
If you're not, if you don't want to have a meeting, am I saying it right? Because it sounded like I was nasally at that point. If you don't want to have a meeting with your spouse, and because whatever, insert complaint here, it's boring, it's cold, it's distant, it's not, it's whatever. You're not having the right meetings.
Yeah.
You're not. And we would love to walk you through one of ours because it isn't boring. Right. It's not super exciting. We don't have pyrotechnics behind it.
I mean, we do. Sparks do sometimes fly afterward, though. Let me tell you that.
Stop. But
come on.
Here, I can barely touch behind my microphone. Anyways, but you're not having the right meetings, or you can call it something else if it doesn't seem right, because it's just getting together, making sure you're communicating, making sure you come with an open mind, open heart, and just being in the moment with the other person, looking them in the eye.
Right.
There's so many things that are going on during this time. It's if you're calling it a meeting, it's important about it is that you are saying right here and you're telling your other spouse that this is important. Our relationship is important. And that's what I meant when I looked at him and was thinking, holy crap, our daughter could die from this disease. I was saying, and that is super horrible. And you matter so much to me that I don't want to fall apart.
Right.
With that, I want us to make sure that we're intentional about this because it's really important to me that, yes, we could lose her and we have no control. But what we have control over right now is the fact that we can make this relationship work.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So, yeah. And you talked about the idea of walking through how we do our meetings, and we have we have a meeting agenda that we go by. It's basically a weekly connection pulse that we have.
Yeah.
That helps to navigate that gives you just a few prompts to help you to have a successful meeting and connect better that week. And we'd love to share that with you. We have a link to download that and we'll supply that in the show notes. And so I hope you'll get that so that you can start to, maybe incorporate these into your world. But even if you don't download that resource, even if you just take those opportunities to intentionally connect, I mean, that really works. And that's why we're getting into this work that we're doing now, why we're starting this show, why Marie's taking her her expertise with psychology and coaching and relationships and sex, and I'm taking my business coaching and putting this together is to help other high achieving entrepreneurial minded couples and spouses to make their relationship mind blowing.
Yeah.
Because we've gotten there. We know how hard it is to be in that valley. But we also know what it's like to be at the top of the world, and we know that that's just part of the journey.
Yeah. And a lot of the part of me growing up is, even though that we've been through all these challenges, I hate to see other people suffer through this.
Right.
Like, I don't want anybody to feel alone, like in any of these challenges in the relationship, not feeling, unseen and unheard. And it just tugs at my heart that helping other people see how much this has improved our relationship is so important to me.
Amen.
So
Absolutely. So I think it was good. I think we gave a good synopsis or gave a good story of where we are. Certainly not everything. There's a lot, but we
there
gave
is a lot more. There's
There is.
some of the stuff I forget too.
I know,
So I'm glad.
yeah. But we'll remember it and we'll share stories throughout this process. But I think that's kind of, I think that captures it, kind of like what changed for us, and now this is where we're at. Now we're helping entrepreneurial couples, and that's why we're doing this show. And we hope you'll join us in future sessions, future episodes.
Episodes.
Yeah, I hope you join us in future episodes because
We
we're-
promise we'll be more upbeat next time.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
I think we did
not.
pretty good with upbeat, like just but I think we covered a lot of difficult stuff. But yeah, if you like this episode, please share it with a friend. This is how we're going to get the word out there about this. And we'd be really grateful if you just share this with friends, share it with loved ones who might benefit from this, other entrepreneurial couples, and we'd be really grateful. We'd also be really grateful if you would like and review this show. Just give us if you can, give us a 5-star review and give us a nice review. We would really, really appreciate that as well. That helps us get out there. And yeah, what else? Anything else?
And also, we would love to hear your comments as well too. Exactly. It's like, if something rings a bell, like, just share it with your friends, or just even write down below of what resonated with you on this episode, because we also would love to hear your feedback as well. So any feedback would be great too. I would
Absolutely.
love it and enjoy it. So
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, thanks for joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And any final words, Brink?
I love you.
I love you too.
Podcast.